See, this guy keeps on trying to bump me every time I walk by.
You what?
Dude, I'm walking down the street.
I'm standing here. I'm allowed.
Let him go sideways.
Get out of my.
All right, Alex, you need to leave.
I'm not leaving, guys. You're trying to get in my way. I'm here on a public street. Get out of my way. Oh my God, guys, I'm so scared. The Antifa, they brought their play guns, their squirt guns. Oh my God, your
those
arts
aren't
and
play
crafts
guns.
Time. Did this mess up your arts and crafts time? You guys gonna be able to go home and play with it?
Why is it so tiny?
Look how scary they are. Oh my God, this guy's so scared. I'm so scared. He's got his gun, his big gun. He's a big bad guy. Oh my God, I'm so happy you're protecting these children so they can go get indoctrinated and go in there for transgender story time. You're such a good American. God bless this guy. Look at him. I'm scared. How dare you? I mean, these people, these are the real cowards. They're hiding behind their masks. They got their little guns. They think they're so tough. We're at a bookstore here in Denton, Texas, where they're trying to do drag queen story hour. And of course, the typical people here with their masks on, not able to actually stand up for what they believe in because they're all cowards. Officer, you think it's unusual they have their assault weapons like that out here in front of a place like this? Is that normal? No comment.
She is not.
I'm walking down the street.
I'm standing here. I'm allowed.
Let him go sideways.
Get out of my.
All right, Alex, you need to leave.
Who said Alex?
But see, these are the real scaredy cats. They gotta walk around with a gun. They can't handle themselves like a real man. All right, guys, I just want to announce I'm Primetime 99 Alex Stein, and I love y'all, even though you guys don't love me, and I know you guys probably love children a little too much, but I'm very empathetic to you guys. I love you guys. Even these guys with the guns, I feel sorry that you guys were probably abused as children, and I really hope you guys get the mental health care that you guys deserve. I love you guys. God bless you all. I love you guys. I love your rights. I think you guys are great. We need to actually transition more children. We need more drag queen story time for elementary school kids.
Okay. Whatever you think about Alex Stein, let me just get centered here. Whatever you think about Alex Stein, Primetime 99. Holy crab apples. I mean, there's gag humor, there's courage, and then some might say it takes a little bit of a dab in its toe of the waters of insanity. Yeah, great start, Viva. I was watching that yesterday at the West Palm Beach Gem, Mineral, and Fossil Show. And I'm like, this guy's crazy. He's certifiably crazy. The first thing I thought, by the way, is that if there were no camera there, that guy who fell to the ground would have pressed charges for assault. No question. And he's sitting there getting up in his grill and saying, I'm standing here as I'm walking with you in your face. I have not seen the entire full-length thing, but everybody should go support Alex Stein, or don't support him. You can go watch his stuff and hate it. I think anybody who watches that and hates it or finds it offensive, shocking, controversial, probably has other issues. But my goodness, I when I interviewed Alex Stein and he mentioned the story, didn't get into much detail, and then I understood what the motivating driving factor for Alex Stein. For anybody wondering what he means, they murdered his mother. Apparently, his mom was in the hospital and they put her on a ventilator, knowing certain things, and he begged them to take her off the ventilator, and she subsequently passed. And it wasn't a confession through projection. It was an astute observation that there seems to be some pain and anger in his eyes, but he is most certainly on a mission. Okay. Standard disclaimers, by the way. I was talking with my dad before we went live, and he said, when are you going to go live without any problems? Your mic doesn't work. Did anyone notice it? You know, the only thing that's not working tonight? My hair. I took a shower before and brushed my hair and put argan oil in it. And so it's not yet in the full Viva fro. But other than being late, because I was sitting here singing a song to myself without realizing that we were 5 seconds late, things are working. Video, audio, and we won't have any internet problems tonight. It's glorious. Let's read this. Viva, you got to watch The Exigency on YouTube. It's a 3D animated action and adventure movie, which I think you'll appreciate. Good. Because if I hear Kiki Waka one more time coming from Bunked, is it for kids? I will watch it. Standard disclaimers, everybody. Rumble rants, super chats. That was a super chat. People are free to give them if they so choose to support me and the channel. YouTube takes 30% of every dollar generated through super chats. If you want to support the channel but don't like that, we are simultaneously streaming on the Rumbles. Rumble has the equivalent of super chats called Rumble rants. They take 20%. You can feel better. More goes to the creator. You're supporting a platform that supports freedom of speech. I'll say it, even more so than Elon Musk. So you can feel better doing that if you want to so do that. Best way to support: like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and spread the word. What else was I just about to say? No medical advice, no legal advice, no election fornication advice. Okay, did you see the new CPSO recommendations for docs? Chet Chisholm, I did see that. I wasn't going to talk about it tonight because it requires a bit of elaboration and I don't want to get too far into it. That is not as clear as the tweets are making it out to be. And there is not nuance, interpretation going into that. For anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, tune in tomorrow. We'll talk about it. But there was CPSO. What does that stand for? Basically, like Ontario doctors were suggesting medicating people who were reluctant to get vaccinated or who had vaccination anxiety. That memo, that internal, document that was circulating has been redrafted, but it's not as cut and dry as it sounds. And we'll talk about it tomorrow because it might take a little too much time. Nice to see Viva get a shout out from Mark Dice. That's fantastic. Also, what happened? So Scott Adams and Mark Dice. The most funniest thing of the entire weekend is Elon Musk replied to my tweet about Alex Jones. It was a thoughtful, thorough, insightful response to my tweet in which I said, we're going to talk about this tonight when Barnes gets here, but we're going to talk about something beforehand. But I said, look, the litmus test is Alex Jones, not because he's radical, whatever. The litmus test is Alex Jones on Twitter to determine whether or not one truly is promoting freedom of speech, but not just from the freedom of speech perspective, from the standing up or not bending the knee to government pressure and the threat of litigation pressure. To which Elon Musk replied, too bad, to my tweet. Anyhow, I appreciate his dry humor and I didn't take it personally whatsoever. Twitter has become very interactive and it's become very fun. A lot more fun than it ever was. Rittenhouse did not mark his territory himself. God, I'll get in trouble here. Okay, let's do a few more super chats before I get into. I haven't done the intro rant yet. It's beautiful. I agree with Alex, but man, I wouldn't be caught dead doing the things he does. That's a quick way of getting sucker punched. Yep. The Billboard Chris, if I'm not mistaken, got sucker punched not badly over the weekend, but I think it was over the weekend. I don't think it was an old video. How pitiful and disrespectful that eulogy that daughter gave at her father's funeral. JRC1, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I wasn't going to talk about it because I don't feel like giving that girl any more attention than she wants. It's that video of this girl eulogizing her father. She's part black, part white, from what I can tell, because her father seems to be white and she seems to be part white, part black. I don't know what the politically correct word is to say it. Eulogizing her father by calling him a white supremacist, Trump supporting, cisgender, whatever. I mean, it's like just check off whatever the words of the day are at what appeared to be his funeral or some commemoration of her father. And you could hear some gasps in the audience. I couldn't believe it was real. I thought it had to be like a play, a monologue, a performance, which it was to some extent. It seems to be legit. I went through her TikTok feed and I felt deep disgust, anger, and sadness because TikTok is a breeding ground, I'll say, of mental illness on the one hand, and I'm not using that word lightly, and development of narcissistic personality traits. You went through this girl's Twitter feed. It was clear all she wanted was clout, popularity, fame, infamy on TikTok. There was a video when she's crying over having gotten to 20,000, whatever they call them, TikTok subs and 1 million views. It's clear, in my view, if TikTok or social media were not around and she did not think she would get celebrity status on social media, she would never have done that. She will live, God willing, long enough to understand how shameful what she did was. And she'll live long enough to be mortified and humiliated by it. I think so. I always think about that Amy Winehouse documentary. Life can teach you a lot of things if you live long enough. She eulogized her father by condemn. I don't know. Maybe there's a horrible history there of abuse from her father to her. I don't know. Even if there were, probably not the way to do it. It's like that movie, the Celebration or the Party, that Dutch movie we talked about it a while ago. But what's clear, she was performing. She wanted the social media points for that. She pinned that her most popular TikTok video to her profile on TikTok. She got the adulation she was after on social media. There was a video of her crying and sobbing about the loss of her father, but TikTok is a cancer unleashed by China. TikTok is awful. I genuinely believe it. So I didn't want to talk about it because I don't think may she live long enough to feel the shame and sorrow of what she's done. And may she repent and may she learn. I'm sure in the moment she thought that the point she was making is worth it. To berate her deceased father, who by the looks of it was at the very least her father, left her money, apparently money that she's going to take, and had some childhood pictures of her when she was a baby in her father's arms. Sad. Now, but that's not what I wanted to start with. I wanted to start with this before Barnes gets here, and so we can work into it. Things are going wild on Twitter. Holy crab apples. Trump is back after a poll, which I jokingly said conducted itself much like the elections. The longer it went, the better it got for the Democrats or the people who opposed Trump's reinstatement on Twitter. It started off at like 60-40. Then I saw it at 58. What the heck is that? 58-42. Then it went down to 56-44. It ended up at 52-48. The longer that poll went on, the more bot accounts were created that voted on it, the more Dem politicians could mobilize their legion of Twitter warriors to go vote on that. It was funny. But Trump is back. And I think most people actually don't appreciate the rationale, the justification for which Trump was banned in the first place. We all knew it was violent tweets promoting violence. I don't think I saw Twitter's justification at the time, because if I had seen Twitter's justification at the time, I might not have remembered it, but I would remember how I would have reacted, because I would have freaked out had I seen it at the time. And when I saw what was Twitter's justification yesterday, I'm like, I don't think I saw this, because if I had seen this at the time, I know that this is how I would have reacted. Twitter's justification for booting Trump is not it reads like motivated reasoning would be doing it too much justice, because it would be calling it reasoning in the first place. It was a pathologically unhinged, deranged, ex post facto interpretive dance as to how we can get to Donald Trump being such a risk that we have to boot him from social media. I don't want to bring up my tweet. I want to bring up the actual post from the blog. Here it is. Permanent suspension. Put it this way. It was so unhinged, and I was so flabbergasted when I saw it, that I was convinced it was fake. I had to go to, can we see the address? Can we see the address bar and what we're looking at? We can't. The address bar is blog.twitter.com/en_us/topics/company/2020/suspension. It's the real blog. And we're going to read through this, because if I had read through this at the time, I know I would have done the same thing, which leads me to believe I didn't see it at the time. Permanent suspension of @RealDonaldTrump by Twitter, January 8, 2021, while he is still president of the United States of America. After close review of recent tweets from the @RealDonaldTrump account and the context around them, and wait for this, specifically how they are being received and interpreted on and off Twitter. By the way, they don't just hear dog whistles. They hear how things are being received and interpreted by third parties, both on Twitter and off Twitter. They got their divining rods, their Ouija board. We have permanently suspended the account due to the risk of further incitement of violence. Further incitement of violence, by the way, suggests or implies that there was previous incitement of violence. Let me just make sure that we are seeing the same thing. Okay. In the context of the horrific events of this week, they're talking about January 6th. The modern day 9/11, according to some people, the modern day Pearl Harbor, the darkest day in American history, a protest that got violence, that got violent in certain pockets. People were killed that day, to suggest as though it was rioters. The people that were killed that day, Ashley Babbitt, by that Capitol police officer, shot point blank in the neck as she went through a broken glass window. Arguably Roseanne Boyland, who there's some controversy around her death. And then the one person who they suggested, the one officer who they suggested was beaten to death by a group of a mob of pro-Trump supporters. Brian Sicknick, coroner, unrelated, natural causes, stroke. Horrific events this week. We made it clear on Wednesday that additional violations of the Twitter rules would potentially result in this very course of action. Our public interest framework exists to enable the public to hear from elected officials and world leaders directly. It is built on a principle that the people have a right to hold power. That the people have a right to hold power to account in the open. However, we made it clear, I got to go fast. We made it clear going back years that these accounts are not above the rules entirely and cannot use Twitter to incite violence, among other things. We will continue to be transparent around our policies and their enforcement. It's a comprehensive analysis. On January 8th, Trump tweeted the following. The 75 million great American patriots is going to be an operative word here, who voted for me, America first, and make America great again, will have a giant voice long into the future. They will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way, shape, or form. Shortly thereafter, the president tweeted, to all those who have asked, I will not be going to the inauguration on January 20th. Listen to this. Listen to this. Pathological insanity. Due to the ongoing tensions in the United States and an uptick in the global conversation in regards to the people who violently stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2021. Listen to this. These two tweets must be read in the context of broader events in the country and the ways in which the president's statements can be mobilized by different audiences, including to incite violence, as well as in the context of the pattern of behavior from this account in recent weeks. Do you know what this is? This is verbal diarrhea, or I guess it should be literary diarrhea. This is poop on a page. This is learn to code diarrhea. I mean, try to read that should I do it in one voice? Because that's a 6 seconds. I'm not going to do it. After assessing the language in these tweets against our glorification of violence policy, we have determined that these tweets are in violation of the glorification of violence policy, and the user, he should be immediately, permanently suspended from the service. It's called a ban, you Orwellian idiots. We assessed these two tweets in reference above, yada, yada, which, okay, look at this. This determination is based on a number of factors, including President Trump's statement that he will not be attending the inauguration is being received by a number of his supporters as further confirmation that the election was not legitimate and is seen as him disavowing his previous claim made via two tweets, 1 and 2, that there would be an orderly transition on January 20th. These tweets are being received as confirmation that the election was not legitimate. I mean, this is literally Ouija board level interpretive dance here. The second tweet may also serve as encouragement to those potentially considering violent acts and that the inauguration would be a safe target as he will not be attending. Oh, that's confession through projection if there's ever been one. Holy crab apples. The use of the words American patriots to describe some of his supporters is also being interpreted as support for those committing violent acts at the U.S. Capitol. To whom? To the Jay Gotti the head of legal to delusional people who think this way in their own delusional minds and then project all of that delusion onto other people? American patriots is being interpreted as support for those committing violent acts. Holy sweet merciful goodness. The mention of his supporters having a, quote, giant voice long into the future, and that they will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way, shape, or form, is being interpreted as further indication that President Trump does not plan to facilitate an did you get from A to Z and skip the entire alphabet in between? They have a giant voice and will not be disrespected. We have interpreted that as an indication that President Trump does not plan to facilitate an orderly transition. So we're punishing him for not doing something off platform that he hasn't yet done that we interpret he's going to do based on words that don't mean anything along the lines of what we've interpreted it to mean. And instead, he plans to continue to support, empower, and shield those who believe he won the election. Plans for future armed protests have already begun proliferating on and off Twitter, including a proposed second attack on the U.S. Capitol on January 17. As such, our determination is that these two tweets above are likely to inspire others to replicate the violent acts that took place on January 6, 2021, and that there are multiple indicators that they are being received and understood. Multiple indicators that they're being received and understood as encouragement to do so. Psychotic. Holy crabapples, psychotic. Everyone involved in the decision to have permanently suspended Donald Trump, that's called a ban in ordinary English and not Orwellian newspeak, should be fired, should have been fired. Elon Musk was right to have done it. And my good goshness, is that pathological? Okay, Barnes is in the backdrop, people. He is here. What did you of the Trudeau versus Xi? Oh, what did I think of Trudeau versus Xi? The guys at the China show on YouTube said that this was Chinese psyop for the West since it wasn't reported in China. That's interesting. And I heard someone say it was deliberately done so that Xi could use it for Chinese media to show what a powerful leader he is, that he can put Justin Trudeau in his place. Canceled my sub to you here on YouTube. Is there one I can get on Rumble if they take less? Oh, you could sub on Rumble any day of the week, just me, Nicole. And one more. Let's do this here. To the real debate was the poll about Trump, but honeypotting pots. Elon was 100% going to bring back Trump. Yeah, Elon did say that he's never seen so many bot accounts created so quickly. Okay, we're on. Barnes is in the backdrop. Tonight we've got some good stuff. I'm going to let Barnes break it down. At least subject matter, cigar, book. But because it just popped up, it happened to pop up right as I said it. Let's just bring this one up. Kimberly Geiger. Most of the people where I live don't have any idea what you are talking about. Please come to Pennington Gap, Virginia. Oh my goodness, how do they not have any idea? Share the link and let them know where they can get the information that CBS does not want you to get. All right, Robert, I'm bringing you in. 3, 2, 1. Booyah. Robert, sir, how goes the battle?
Good.
All right, audio is good. Robert, what do you have behind you? Because that is definitely a new book.
Yeah, since it's the World Cup, that's a book about what the world knows as football, what America knows as soccer. The numbers game, which breaks down a lot of the analytics that a lot of people don't know about the sport. My brother and I did a World Cup preview video that you can find both on Sports Wars on YouTube and Rumble, and also at sportspicks.locals.com, a whole breakdown for those that are interested in the World Cup, which started earlier this morning.
So the World Cup, I haven't followed that in 12 years.
You know Canada's in it, right?
Yes, of course I knew that. It would be terribly unpatriotic of me to know that. I did know that because there was I saw that in the paper. But what stage? It's round robin, and then they have the quarter semifinals.
It goes to the round of 16. So you have a first round with 8 groups of 4, 32 teams. That's the round robin round. Then you the top 2 from each group advance into the round of 16. Then the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals, being hosted controversially this year by Qatar.
Okay, very good. I was just wondering. Someone said, "Is it gin?" I'm going to go dry for a very long time now to see if I can fix sleep patterns and other patterns. Anthony Huberman's podcast, Andrew Huberman's podcast, was an eye opener in terms of sleep habits and other bodily functions. So yeah, I'll be doing carbonated water. Life just got a lot more boring, Robert. But as boring as life can be, holy crab apples, has it been a wild ride on social media, Twitter, and in the lawverse. What do we have on for the evening? And let's get to it.
We'll wait for Rumble to discuss update on the Children's Health Defense against FDA about the childhood vaccines, because there was a court hearing on Friday on that case. And for the election legal disputes that are bubbling up from Pennsylvania to Georgia to Arizona, that too we'll save for the Rumble section of the show, given censorship issues here still on YouTube. But we have all the issues related to Twitter and Trump being reinstated on Twitter, whether there are legal limitations and practical limitations to whether Trump will actually be back on Twitter anytime soon. Theranos Holmes was, the Elizabeth Holmes from Theranos was sentenced this week, as well as the Molotov cocktail folks from the BLM riots, the lawyers who went and threw Molotov cocktails into cop cars. What kind of sentence did they get? Did they get a January 6th type sentence or something different? We have subpoenas being issued or planned to be issued by the new Republican House. We have Jen Psaki trying to challenge her subpoena about big tech collusion. We have a special counsel being appointed to go after Trump. We have student loan issues that got in Biden's student loan program further enjoined by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals that now the Biden administration is trying to challenge at the Supreme Court. We have Florida's Anti-Woke Act being struck down as unconstitutional in violation of First Amendment rules. The Trump Organization's tax trial, Biden's spending provisions on COVID, partially being struck down, partially being affirmed by a federal court that involved whether states could could cut taxes or not and take the money. Lawsuit over abortion pills, Nike sued by an NFL star, Tennessee juvenile life imprisonment found unconstitutional, biolabs and war crimes in Ukraine, judges found not necessarily to be immune or above the law, trial by jury in forfeiture cases, a class action involving FTX, and drones and the Fourth Amendment.
I'm not familiar with the drone ones, Robert, but all right, well, let's start with the massive news. First of all, Trump is back on Twitter. CBS says, it's so funny. The people saying they're going to leave, they can't stand it. I just got blocked by somebody who's involved with Lawfare who says, I can't be on a platform with Trump. I'm going to leave, but I'm going to continue doing some stuff here because it's important for reach. Yeah, that's what Twitter is. The people saying they're going to leave because they can't stand Trump, even though we now know what the two tweets that got Trump yeeted from Twitter were and how ludicrous that discussion was or that decision was. He's back on. Two questions, Robert. You think Elon Musk was always going to bring him back for a number of reasons, and this was a marketing ploy? And what of the concept? You floated it in one of your responses. It's an easy decision to make because probably Trump cannot come back, if not at all, at the very least not entirely, given contractual obligations with Truth. I have no insider knowledge. I don't know if you do, and I don't want you to say anything you're not allowed saying. Is that a very plausible argument that Trump can't come back, period, because he's contractually bound by Truth to promote Truth and not the competitor?
Yeah, there's two different issues there. I mean, it was an easy move for Musk. It was good marketing to do a poll and get people all excited. But all the people that think Trump is rushing back to Twitter are mistaken for two big reasons. One, there's his marketing agreement, exclusive marketing agreement with Truth. Now that allows him after a certain time frame to post on other social media sites. That allows him, and this has all been publicly reported because they're trying to do like Rumble, their special purpose vehicle or acquisition committee company that's trying to go public. But that isn't the primary reason why Trump is not going to rush back to Twitter. There's about 1 billion reasons for Trump not to get near Twitter. And that is that Truth is one of his main monetization means at the moment. And Truth could be worth $1 billion or more to Trump himself in its stock value. needless to say, so other than using Twitter to promote people to go to truth, it makes 0 sense for Trump to lose $1 billion to just be back on Twitter and help Elon Musk. And by the way, Musk is intimately well aware of this. This is why Musk knew this was a no-brainer. Let's get a lot of marketing, get a lot of excitement. What I said about buying that his whole purpose behind Twitter is most likely about buying political immunity. This was in a hush-hush at vivabarneslaw.locals.com almost a year ago, back when this first rumor started talk of Musk buying Twitter back in early 2022. I said his goal is that he's already under investigation by the Biden administration, and he's wanting to buy immunity on the right, political cover on the right that he didn't currently have. He had political cover on some aspects of the left, but clearly not enough because the Biden administration was unhappy with him for some reason. We don't fully know why. Him setting up Starlink in Ukraine didn't buy him enough immunity. He's, there's 1,000+ lawsuits against Tesla or Musk for a range of reasons out there. And and at the time he was facing a risky case from the Delaware courts that he ended up dodging the bullet on, but he didn't know that at the time. It made sense for him to buy Twitter and be perceived as a free speech, right-wing libertarian hero so he could buy political cover. Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch, put out that Trump, that Musk will now be targeted because he reinstated Trump, and Musk responded and said, "Oh yeah, no doubt about it." And so in my view, he did this as an anticipatory move. He's already under investigation, is my guess. Now you can get a sense of how committed he actually is to free speech because he responded to you about him saying no to Alex Jones being reinstated, and he said, too bad. That shows Musk has no deep commitment to free speech of any kind. That's an illusion that people have. Trump is purely a marketing move. I'm glad because we get to see Trump's old tweets. We get to see that it's contrary to a lot of old messages. He's got a lot of funny tweets, but it's not the idea that Trump is going to demonetize himself and remonetize Elon Musk. People have their head in the sand. That ain't happening. Trump, Trump's not giving up $1 billion, folks. That's not in the Trump DNA. So he's already said that if the SEC interferes with his ability to take it public, he'll just take it private. He said that several months back. So the SEC is trying to interfere with the ability for that SPAC to get off the ground. There'll be a conference this week, actually Tuesday, about whether or not they are going to postpone the sale to September 2023 because of the issues present. It's trading over $20 or so a share. And if people can look up what's publicly reported is, Trump has about half of the shares. And you can do the math. The math is over $1 billion. So that's why he's not going to do anything that could possibly undermine truth, least of all for Musk, who he's not personally fond of at Twitter. He was glad Trump promoted, to his truth audience, promote the poll on Twitter. Happy to do that, but that'll be the scope of it. And people are just in this delusional denial that Trump is rushing back to Twitter and can't wait to get back there. I think that's extraordinarily unlikely. I would bet against it.
And people are saying, well, Trump is obviously going to go back now that he's running. He wants to maximize his reach. The obvious retort to that is he's got millions of other people who are going to maximize his reach on Twitter more than he would if he posted directly there in any event. And just to bring up Elon's response, it didn't seem categorical, but it was.
He initially says too bad, and then he responds again and kind of moderates what he meant.
Oh, I didn't see him respond again. Alex Jones is a litmus test, not just on the issue of freedom of speech, but on the issue of bending the knee to political and judicial intimidation. If this is a hard no, I'm not being too hard on Elon. This Twitter will be no more trustworthy than Jack or Parag's, to which he said, too bad. I'm an idiot. I don't know how this works. How do I find out? Anyway, so then I responded. But that's it. It's he's being dry, humorish, and it's good. It's fun. It's fun that the CEO of Twitter is actively interacting with people on Twitter. It makes it
definitely an improvement over where Twitter was. That's whatever Musk's motivations are, promoting it to be less censorship oriented is part of those is in his self-interest. So Twitter will be better than it was before. No doubt about that. But it won't be a Rumble level opposition to cancel culture. You won't see that. Alex Jones is a great litmus test for that. You can find Alex Jones on Rumble. When France threatened Rumble, Rumble said, well, fine, we won't be in France then. When Senator Rick Scott, would-be wannabe Senate Majority Leader, threatened Rumble in Florida for allowing RT to continue to broadcast on Rumble, they said, thanks a lot, Senator, but we're not going to change our budget. Elon Musk would capitulate in a half second. So he's not of the same commitment cohort, and he's made that clear in a range of statements. He's going to limit the scope of certain speech, etc. So he'll do enough to build his brand that gives him some libertarian and right-wing protection. He'll do enough to build interest in Twitter to help remonetize it. He wants to make it into China-style WeApp, so people should look into that and understand some of the limitations of speech that he may be inclined to. But people expecting it to be like robust free speech, unlikely. And anybody thinking Trump's going to gut himself by enriching Musk instead is in denial.
The Gallant Goose in France says Trump will write the first half of his post on Twitter, then pull a Viva and say, for the rest, go over to Truth Social. Not a bad idea. We'll see. But Robert is right. It's not like he's right. Period. So we'll see. That's why it was probably an easy bet. That being said, who else did Elon just bring back? Oh, Ye. He brought back Ye. Just like that.
Yeah. He brought back Kanye, brought back Andrew
Griffin.
Tate, brought back the Babylon Bee, brought back Jordan Peterson, brought back Kathy Griffin. He still hasn't brought back the controversial COVID doctors. That will be a real test. The people that were very critical of our questionable COVID policies, Peter McCullough, Robert Malone.
Yeah.
Let's see those people reinstated. That would be a real big positive step in the right direction.
Now, I don't want to, like, everyone goes to Alex Jones as the case in point example, but Erwin Schroyer, is it Erwin? It's Erwin Schroyer as well.
Owen Schroyer?
Owen Schroyer. Sorry, not Erwin. Owen Schroyer has also been anyone within the orbit of Alex Jones.
I think Savannah Hernandez, who we interviewed, was kicked off Twitter. So we'll see how many. I mean, there clearly were a lot of coup attempts against him this week. There were a bunch of everybody walking off, like half of the employees walking off the job on a day. Predictions that Twitter would collapse. None of that has happened. I think there is a part of him that wants to run the company in a profitable manner. I think he's got multiple objectives, one of which is political cover. So he was always going to bring Trump back. The poll was just a smart marketing technique to get attention to it. And I think he knew Trump was highly unlikely to start using it much. So he's not going to be able to rely on Trump using Twitter to drive traffic. He needs to continue to find ways to be creative. He's talking about video content, converting Twitter basically into like a podcast hosting forum, a video content hosting forum, being able to monetize it beyond just the blue check mark. So he's got a range of ideas as to how to monetize it in the same way to recover some of the money that he spent to purchase it in the first place. And I think it will continue to be fun and interesting and engaging. It just won't be as free speech or as cancel culture opposed as Rumble is. And in that sense, he kind of lacks cojones. And that's what I said. He lacks cojones. If he had real guts and he had real courage, Alex Jones would be reinstated tomorrow. But he doesn't. So until then, he's a wuss in my book.
We'll see. Maybe it's, maybe he's just playing it slow, or maybe he just says, I've got too much to lose. And I don't want to, I don't want to be sued for $2.5 trillion for hosting. We'll see. But speaking of Rumble, now's probably the good time. Look, we've been here for 40 minutes, people. Let's mosey on over to Rumble. I'm going to get the link and share it one more time. And for whatever complaints anybody has about UX, UI, whatever we call it, I am in direct contact with Chris often. And everybody knows, who's this? Hold on just 1 second. Yellow. Yeah, perfect. Thanks. Okay, good thing I have my phone on. Oh God, I'm stuck. My hair's stuck in there. Oh God. Robert, what was I just saying?
We're heading over to Rumble.
Oh yeah, we're heading
And
over
you
to
know
Rumble.
Pavlovsky.
Oh yeah, so that's it. Any issues, any recommendations? Continue to send them our way. I flipped them to Chris. They know about them. They're working on it. Growing pains, good growing pains. But it's where it putting your money where your mouth is and living by principles. France wants them to take certain things down. No, thank you. Out of France. For the French who are watching, nous allons télécharger. On va télécharger, I think is the word. Anyways, we'll upload the podcast to locals tomorrow so you can watch it. For those who can't reach it in France. And I apologize for that, but we're going to do it anyhow. Head on over to Rumble. We'll be there in 3 seconds. We should see 5,000 more people. Not end broadcast on YouTube. Over to Rumble in 3